Yes, our world's complex, so I think that's one of the reasons we should strive to keep things simple. And sometimes complexity is a good thing, but when we make choices based on things that have nothing to do with the user experience to make it more complicated, I think that's a bad thing. So we don't think enough about what people really want to do. I think that there are a couple of reasons that people don't change complex, like interfaces, for example. One of them is that people have, they kind of take everything that's there as a given. So it's almost like, well, this is what we have, so now we have to deal with what we have, as opposed to doing a thinking exercise of what would happen, how would we do it today if we were able to start over completely. And if you think that way, even if it's only as a thinking exercise, because most of us can't start over, but if you think that way, you'll start to discover things you would have done differently. So instead of taking for granted all the stuff that you made complex and just leave it there because it's there. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's one reason. And another reason is everyone wants to, they have their own little ways of working, all their little things that they put into projects, that they use to build projects, and all those things add up. And people lose sight of, they change one thing and they don't, they lose sight of what that does to other parts of the experience. I always find it useful to act like you can start over. So start with nothing at all, and then think about what's the most important thing. If you could only put one thing in this interface to help the user get from A to B to do what they need to do, what one thing would it be? And we all know it's not only one thing, it's more than one, but you start with one, the most important, and then you ask yourself that question again, and you do it again and again, and then as soon as you can, you stop, so that you have the simplest way possible from A to B. So I think that's the way I do it. It's a way of thinking that helps a lot. I think that's how most people approach it. They look at the complexity of what they have, and then they figure out, well, how can we make that simpler? But I think it's a lot easier to, when you have nothing, that's very simple. And then you're just very careful about what you add. So you make something simple not by taking things away, but by being very critical about what you add in the first place. Yep. I always like to think about the problem and then not about possible solutions. Everyone has these design patterns and ways that other people have solved problems. And I think that's the wrong thing to do, is to just take someone else's solution and just slap it onto your work. So it's better to think about what exactly is the problem, and is this the best way to solve that problem, or is there a simpler way, a better way to do it? And then add that. I think it'll always stay the same. I think there are always going to be things that are too complicated, and there's always going to be a group of people who try to make things simpler. So I just hope that as many people as possible try to do that last, the latter. But there will always be new people who have their own design baggage and who will make things complicated again, which is okay. That keeps us working.